So, I didn't expect to be making another TCG Pocket video so soon after the last one, but I've been in the laboratory and I think I've come up with the most incredible deck of all time, and I fear the world may become worse if I do not share it. This deck revolves around Staraptor, which is a stage 2 Pokemon with a 3 energy attack that deals 80 damage, and it prevents your opponent's Pokemon from retreating. So there are already some Pokemon that do exactly this with lower energy costs and aren't stage 2s, which make them somewhat more consistent. But Staraptor is a special little guy because not only does he deal more damage than Arbok or Galvantula, he also has a pretty sizable amount of numbers that are bigger than Arbok or Galvantula's numbers. So it can trap a thing, tank a hit, and then potentially KO, which is pretty good. So in this deck we're playing 2 of each Pokemon in the Staraptor line, and the real star of the show is Starly. I'm convinced that Starly is actually the best card in the entire game. So Starly attacks for a single energy, and it discards all Pokemon tools equipped to the active Pokemon. And people just do not read this card. They will just put a Rocky Helmet on their active when they're facing down a Starly. And as a Rocky Helmet hater, I think this is sensational. Dialga is almost certainly the best card to play with Staraptor, as it is with every single other colorless Pokemon in the game. But I want to play a card that actually sparks joy. So we're playing bad cards instead. So we're playing a single Pidgeot line. We're not playing 2 for consistency. Regular Pidgeot is pretty much just infinite Sabrinas. So if you don't like the guy that's in the active, say like a Druddigon for example, you can just use Pidgeot's ability and it will force your opponent to switch it. It is definitely better to just play Sabrina and Cyrus, but if you do that, it does reduce the amount of little avian friends in your deck, and that's not great. That's pretty bad. So Chatot is the coolest card in the entire game. I would play this card in every single deck if the gamer police wouldn't be knocking down my door if I did. It mulligans your hand, and you draw cards up to your opponent's hand size. So if you're playing like a critical mass of cards that you can just use, you can just empty your hand and then draw like 47,000 cards. And you're gonna need it because you're playing 2 stage 2 lines and you're definitely not drawing that. So aside from all our little birdies, we're playing the usual suspects plus communication. You'll definitely need it. Blue is a supporter card that we can use under any condition and has an effect that is useful under most conditions. And we are playing this because of Chatot, because like if you don't have any other supporter in your hand, you might as well just play the blue. There are other cards that you can use unconditionally like Giovanni or Leaf, but it's definitely worse to play those, and you're just gonna have to take my word for it. we're playing X speed because you pivot a lot in this deck, and it's also another card you can just discard under any circumstance, similar to blue. Dawn potentially will get Staraptor online faster if you, say, retreat a Chatot and you have 2 energies on Staraptor. You can use Dawn to take the energy from the Chatot and get Staraptor online 1 turn faster. And our last slot is Potion.
My strongest potions will kill you, Traveler. You can't handle my strongest potions. You better go to a seller that sells weaker potion.
Some scholars will say this deck is bad, but I would prefer to call it ambitious.
Hey, you guys are watching Bird Up, the worst show on television.
It'd be real embarrassing if I was editing this video and then a new set came out and they added a supporter that supports specifically Staraptor, and everything I just said means absolutely nothing. I haven't really looked at the new set that deeply, but it probably doesn't change much. Darkrai's probably still good, Druddigon's probably still good, Magnezone is probably still good, but I have yet to play a game with the new set, so only time will tell. My opponent leads off with Coughing, which tells me that I am going to be facing a really cool strategy. And then they put down Darkrai and Druddigon. Isn't this exciting, everyone? Isn't this fun? I love Pokemon TCG Pocket.
It's the most fun you can possibly have.
Our hand could definitely be better, but we top deck research and then draw every Staraptor piece like I'm the protagonist. My opponent does a whole lot of drawing cards and adding cards, and then they just attack with Coughing, and I definitely lost if they drew Weezing there. Like, the game would just be over. I top deck a second research and draw more cards, and then I evolve my Starly into Staravia and give him his ear medicine before attacking the Coughing. So we have like the whole Pidgeot line in hand except for Pidgey, and it can deal with one Druddigon. But then they put down a second one and it becomes a bit of an issue. We draw the Pokeball and we get a Pidgey, but it's a bit late for that. I definitely should have held Staraptor for this turn because Staravia just KOs Coughing anyway. And now that my opponent has knowledge, they can just play around the Staraptor. But it's fine, everyone. It's fine. Then they sit in Druddigon, and then they put Rocky Helmet on it. Wow. Awesome. They're so good at the game. Aren't they so good at the video game? Since this Druddigon is like halting any type of progress I could make, I just go for Chatot and bet it all on black. because maybe I'll draw the imaginary card that explodes their Dredagon and wins me the game on the spot. My hand is really not much better than it was before. I really needed that second Starly, and I just do not see it. For some reason, my opponents start seeing red and foaming at the mouth when they saw Chatot, because they leaf and then send in their full health Darkrai to take care of it. I can easily take advantage of this with Staraptor and trap it so I can KO it, but I do have to sack it, which is unfortunate. And then my opponent has the potion, so Pidgeot can't even KO, and all of that was for nothing. So it turns out the Starly was the literal last card in my deck. Once again, a bit late, but it's fine. It's fine, everyone. It's fine. I might as well just attack with the Pidgeot, since it can tank one hit. So the Darkrai gets pretty low, so they retreat into one of the Druddigons. I begin to build the second Staraptor in the back, and because I have Dawn in hand, it will be online next turn. We're seeing some real good gameplay from both sides. Thank God that Darkrai and Dredagon are like the best cards in the entire game, so I get to play against this every single game. I might as well just Pidgeot here, because I'd rather face the Dredagon without the Rocky Helmet, but my opponent just sends in their Darkrai and immediately wins me the game, which is pretty good, because I was on the back foot this whole game, and I definitely would have lost if they sent in the other Dredagon. But now I get to take this game, and then I get to show it to all my cool friends on YouTube. And they'll see how much of a cool gamer I am. So since we have new cards that just make Staraptor do things better, I might as well just play those cards. The only change I made to the deck list was that I replaced the Dawn with Berry, because Berry is just better in 99.9% of situations. It's almost certainly better to just get rid of the blue and just play 2 berries, but I only pulled the 1 berry, so you're just gonna have to deal with that. We are facing a certified Timmy Classic Charizard EX. Thank God. I don't have to read any of the new weirdos in this game. This deck has a pretty solid matchup against specifically Charizard, because Moltres EX is just prime Staraptor food. It is very passive, and you can just trap it and easily just get 2 points, and it's pretty good. We don't end up drawing any Staraptor pieces, but it's really not much of a problem since they're just gonna throw Moltres to the wolves anyway. I put down the second Starly for insurance in case my opponent has that dog in them and decides to attack with Charmander. They raw retreat the Charmander. I guess they just didn't have the X speed or the Leaf. And then they evolve it into Charmeleon. And they have no energy on board. I just go for the Chatot because Moltres can't do anything about it, like, at all. We do not draw our Staraptor, but we do draw Pidgeotto and Pokemon Communication, which is like almost Staraptor. They do find Charizard EX, and they go for the Inferno Dance, but they only hit the 1-heads, so they're going to have to keep the Moltres in for a bit longer, which is pretty good for us.
Why do you disappoint me? Second by second, you waste my time.
So I go for the communication play. I get rid of the Pidgeotto in hand, because if I draw Staraptor, I do win the game.
You got the dud!
Well, at least I can evolve the second Starly. I just bet it all on Chatot, and I'm instantly rewarded by drawing the 3 best cards in my deck. I am so grateful for Moltres EX. I absolutely would not have gotten away with this against any other deck in the game. They put down Charmander, which is pretty good for us, because if they don't find the second Charizard and its pieces, then it's just easy prey for the bird. Moltres goes for the Inferno Dance and hits triple heads. Oh my god, he's so talented. Too bad he's going to die in exactly 2 turns. We draw the second Staraptor. We're keeping it in our hand as a mystery Mousecatool for the late game. We trap the Moltres EX, and there's not really a whole lot they can do about it. They go for the third energy as like a desperate measure to at least have Moltres leave some type of mark on my team. They go for Sabrina, and it's a pretty bad Sabrina because I can just sack the Chatot and not lose any momentum. But what are they gonna do about it? Like, what would you do? What would you do in this situation? We get Professor's Research and we draw the last cards in our deck. which gives us all the tools we need to win this game. And then Staraptor proceeds to show Moltres EX who the biggest bird in town is. And it's not him. Let it just be known, it's not him. We have to sack this Staraptor to the Charizard, but it's all worth it in the end. And we just used the rest of our cards to clean up this game, and I think this one game has just convinced me that Barry is the best card in the entire game, actually. It is pretty crazy that I didn't have to invest anything in this Staravia, and I can just pull it out like an emergency shotgun in the back of my car. So yeah, that's the deck. It's pretty good. You could probably beat whatever's good right now if you fill the room with a deadly neurotoxin.